Have you ever been on a first date and you just know you effed it up? Or maybe you don't. I sure as hell know that I've been on a few first dates where I'm like, I probably messed this up a little bit. And look, you're probably thinking to yourself, aren't you a relationship coach? You should not be messing up first dates. But look, don't come for me. I am human, and I also make mistakes. I get nervous. I get anxious. Maybe the person is incredibly attractive and I don't know how to act. So I wanted to create this video because this is something that I find quite frequently actually in my one-on-one coaching sessions, right? A lot of people ask me, Coach Danny, how the hell do I lock down a first date, number one, and number two, how do I impress the person that I am on a date with? Look, first and foremost, it shouldn't be about you needing to impress anybody. First dates should be fun. They should be casual. There shouldn't really be any pressure. And again, I know that's easier said than done, but realistically speaking, if you go into the date relaxed, that gives you the ability to show who you are, your personality, your quirks and certain things, right? So that person really gets to know you better. That person gets a snapshot of what you may potentially be like in a relationship. So that being said, don't be too upfront in the beginning. Setting expectations and being very clear on what your needs are is important, right? It shows emotional maturity. It shows that you know what it is that you want, which can be really sexy, having that level of confidence. But if you're too open and honest and your expectations are unrealistic, that's not cute. So like if you go on a first date with somebody and you're like, I'm looking for somebody who makes $250,000 or more so I can sustain my lifestyle. That's not cute. That's going to make that person immediately go, no, thank you. This person is way too much. This person is too high maintenance, right? Maybe you're like, I want somebody who's going to prioritize me all the time. No, you don't want to say those types of things because that actually just shows that there's an issue within yourself that needs to be dealt with. That means there are certain insecurities that you have that you are displaying for the person that you are on a date with to see. And there's a difference between being vulnerable and being insecure. Vulnerability is the capability of maybe sharing certain things that some people are not used to sharing, right? Now, that doesn't mean that it has to be your deepest, darkest secrets, but if they were to ask you like, hey, have you ever had a relationship where you were hurt? And you're like, yeah, actually I have. And you describe it a little bit, like that shows that you're able to be open and honest and vulnerable and that you've actually coped and dealt with that and been able to move on from it. So again, having expectations, having needs is very important, but being too upfront and honest off the bat can be a little bit unsexy and not attractive. The second thing is that you don't want to be dishonest about your current situation, right? So maybe you're not out of the closet yet. Maybe you were hurt by a previous partner and you're trying to get over that person by going on dates. Maybe you're not looking for anything serious and you're just kind of testing the waters or wanting to hook up. Whatever the case may be, it is so important to be open and honest about what your situation is because the last thing that you want to do is lead somebody on. And look, we have all been there before. We've all been led on. We've all thought that there was this chemistry and that things were going fantastic and that you really had a bond and this was going to be the next person that you date. You guys take it to the next level, you hook up and then pew, they're gone and you've been ghosted. So if that's something that you've experienced yourself, you don't want to do that to somebody else. It's really important to have a level of emotional maturity when navigating dates. So a common mistake that I see all the time in first dates is that people lie or you're not not open and honest and transparent. And again, like I said, there's a balance, there's a line, but being your authentic self is so important, because if you present yourself in a particular way on a date and that's not truly who you are, and then down the line you actually start to date and your real personality starts to come out and it's very different from who you were in the beginning, that's going to cause some confusion and potentially some conflict within the relationship, right? The third thing here is that if you are dating for a long-term relationship, right, for the purposes of meeting somebody and developing something sustainable and healthy and long-term, don't have sex right away. Look, we've all been there, okay? There's a little app called Grindr, and we've all used it. Let's be real, especially if you are within the queer community, especially if you're a gay man. And we all know that it's a hookup app, right? And sex is actually a very big part of gay culture, of queer culture. And there's nothing wrong with that, because it's not about shaming individuals who enjoy sex or having a good time or very just in tune with themselves and know what they want in the bedroom. But if you're looking for something more serious and you lead with sex, you're just another hookup. You're just somebody else who's willing to give it up that easily. If you are looking for a long-term relationship, having sex right away, again, is not the answer. Wait a little bit, really get to know that person, establish a rapport with them, have quality interactions, start to build an emotional connection and a bond, and then take it to that place, because then the sex is even that much better because you have a connection with this person. The fourth common mistake that I see is drinking too much. If you are a hot ass mess on your date, that is nobody else's fault but your own. So try to refrain from drinking too much. Sure, we've all had those nights out where we go to bars or we go to clubs and we hang out with our friends and we drink and we have a good time and our inhibitions are down. That's fine. But when you're going on a first date because you're trying to lock down a long-term relationship, being drunk is not cute. It's not sexy, and it's not a good look for you. And maybe you're drinking because you're nervous and you're trying to lower your inhibitions, and you should be consciously aware of how many drinks you can have before you pass that limit of being fun to annoying as hell. So make sure that you, again, are aware of that. Maybe you order 2 drinks total and that's it. But remember, those drinks shouldn't be too strong. If you order 2 martinis and you're a light drinker, you're gonna be 3 sheets to the wind, and that date's probably not gonna go in the direction that you want it to. So making sure that you're keeping your drinking to a minimum. And the last thing here is talking about your previous relationships. I am laughing because this actually happened to me like 6 months ago. And again, you would be surprised and you'd say, you're a relationship coach, shouldn't you know better? But look, like I said, don't come for me. I'm human. We all make mistakes, and I was on a date with this individual and I found them incredibly attractive, and they were an attorney, and I thought they were super intelligent, and it was great conversation, and we went to this cute little hamburger joint, and for some reason in my mind, I was like, let me really get to know this person. Let's start to kind of ask some deeper questions here, and we started getting into more deeper subjects and topics and matters about family and all of that, and then all of a sudden I started asking about previous relationships, and I got into talking about my previous relationships. And he literally stopped me in the middle of the day and said, hey, he's like, I really appreciate you being open and honest and candid, but I don't necessarily know if it's a good idea to be talking about previous relationships on a first date. And I was like, you're right. And it didn't cross my mind in that moment. But afterwards, in hindsight, I was like, oh, what are you doing? And look, we all learn from these mistakes. We can all take these situations and apply them in on future dates. And again, just learn from it. So if you find yourself in a position where you have maybe been in bad relationships or your last relationship didn't end well, just don't talk about it on a date because it's not sexy, it's not cute. Now, if they ask you about previous relationships, sure, you can answer them candidly and honestly, but keep it short, keep it simple, keep it concise, don't over elaborate, and don't talk too much about it, because then the entire date becomes about your previous relationships and you're trying to build a connection and a bond with this new person, and that kind of hinders it. If you have done that before, if you've made any mistakes on a date, let me know. Leave it in the comment box. Leave it in the comment section down below. Let's have a discussion about it, because this happens so frequently, and dating can be anxiety inducing, right? It can be nerve wracking to meet somebody for the first time and be open and honest and vulnerable and candid. So if you've had great experiences or not so great experiences, let's talk about it. Again, if you have not yet, make sure you hit the like and the subscribe button. And if you don't know who I am, I mentioned it in the beginning of the video, but let me tell you again, my name is Danny. I am a life and relationship coach, and I created this channel and this community for you guys to give you a resource for dating and relationships. You know, it was something that I scoured the internet for, and I really couldn't find anything that I thought was useful. So I wanted to create a platform, a community where we could all come together and have these conversations and these discussions and feel comfortable doing it, right? Because at the end of the day, you deserve to be in a happy and healthy relationship as well. So let's throw all these stereotypes out of the window about queer people not being able to have healthy relationships, because it's a bunch of bullshit. You absolutely can. I hope you guys are staying happy and healthy. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.